Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Billie Eilish just turned 18 last year.
I'm the bad guy.
The Grammy winner will be voting for the first time this year and performing at the Democratic National Convention. And she won't be alone. Jennifer Hudson, John Legend, Common, Leon Bridges, Billy Porter, and more will all take the stage, though that stage will likely be virtual. We're told the artists will perform the national anthem, classic songs, and new music in an attempt to draw in new viewers who might not have tuned in to previous conventions.
Ooh, how excited are you? Not really. Normally, we would be there. I'll be honest. The one good thing from COVID is we don't have to be there. I don't have to be at any of these conventions around a bunch of people that I don't care about, listening to a bunch of people drone on for days about how they're better than everybody else or how much worse everybody else is. None of it really gets going till late in the evening, and the rest of it's just kind of like, who? What? Huh? But here we go. Convention time. We're less than 3 months away from the big day, which seems like it's going to be a big week or month. The reason is simple, because of the post office. Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought the post office could ruin everything? Who would have thought that? Who would have said, hey, Chad, did you guys hear? You got the COVID, right? Yeah, heard about that. You had murder hornets? Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Coin shortage? Oh, yeah. Massive heat wave? Oh, absolutely. Now the post office. Oh, my God. What's happening with the post office? Oh, you didn't hear about the post office? Post office they're in this. They're in the game. Deep state post office. I'm like, what do you mean deep state post office? How does that even work? I don't know. You're going to like it, though. It's going to be crazy. That's where we are. That's where we are. Months into this thing. Months into it. We're in a position where I couldn't tell you who's going to win at this point. I said both of them are going to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, and I don't even know what polls to look at anymore.
With Joe Biden here in Wilmington getting ready for the kickoff of his party's virtual convention, today's ABC News Washington Post poll finding Biden holding a 12-point lead over Trump among registered voters and a 10-point lead among likely voters. Biden at 54% among likely voters, Trump at 44%. Also, the poll showing the share of Biden supporters who say they are very enthusiastic about supporting him has grown from 28% in March to 48% today.
Ooh, very exciting. It's growing. Huge. Not for everybody, though. Bernie.
A lot of my supporters are not enthusiastic about Joe Biden. You know why? I ran against Joe Biden. But I think there is overwhelming understanding that Donald Trump must be defeated, Biden must be elected, and that the day after he is elected, we're going to do everything we can to create a government that works for all of us and not just the 1% and wealthy campaign contributors.
Oh, that sounds like fun. That's a lot of just shaking hands, kissing babies. Not a lot of excitement there. And this year, digitally, I don't even know what that looks like. I don't think anybody does. And we're still dealing with COVID. We're still dealing with people that are struggling in the hospital. We're still dealing with some deaths. We're still dealing with the fact that kids aren't back in school. There's a lot of things going on here that we're still dealing with. And one of the things that we're dealing with is the fact that it takes forever to get an AM test back.
Surveyed more than 9,000 Americans in all 50 states to try to get a sense of where testing is in this country. Here are the national results. What they found is that, maybe 25% get their results same day or next day, 35% within 2 to 3 days. And that's what experts say needs to happen. Ashish Jha at Harvard says anything more than 3 days is essentially useless, and you really want under 2 days to be able to quarantine and do contact tracing. But guys, that 60% under 3 days still means 40% are basically getting what experts say are useless test results.
Yeah, useless test results. Useless. I've got friends here who one of them didn't feel good. So he's like, I don't feel good. Station sent him home, said, you got to go get a test. He went to 3 different places. He's still waiting for one. He's back at work, by the way, because he didn't have it. One got back to him within 24 hours. The other one was about 36 hours. And one, he's still just like, wait, it's just like, it's gone. It's probably the post office. It's part of the craziness of the post office. It's insane. You need to have it back instantaneously. That's what we need.
Essentially, all states, on average, the respondents said they were getting test results within 2 to 5 days. Indiana there at more than 5. The dark green states were the shorter testing turnaround times. So, guys, the fact that some states like Massachusetts may have excess capacity, whereas you're waiting a long time in places like Indiana or Arizona, we're not really solving for that problem with our strategy right now.
No. And that's the frustration side of things. Like, what do you do? So let's just say you don't feel good. You tell your boss, hey, boss, I don't feel good. And they say, okay, well, you need to go home. And you need to get a test before you come back to work. So for a lot of people I've talked to, and we've talked about it on my local show here, they're afraid to be sent home because they're like, I'm not going to get paid for not working. I don't know if I can wait 2 weeks or a month to get a damn test back. Here in Arizona, one time we had a 60,000 person backlog. They were sitting inside of a giant refrigerator. They're like, we caught up. I'm like, it's too late. If you have to wait 5 to 7 days, and the way that they were working it was, so if you got a test on a Thursday or Friday, they would tell you sometimes it would be a 5-day wait. And you're like, okay, so what's that, Monday, Tuesday? No. Business days. So the day you get tested doesn't count. So Friday would be one day, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So by Thursday, a week later, you'd get your damn test results. That doesn't help. Testing has been an absolute joke in this country.
Do I think that it would be helpful to have a national testing strategy in the middle of a global pandemic? I do. I don't think that having 50 states and a district each figure out their own pandemic approach is the most efficient way to do this.
No, it hasn't been. It hasn't been because states have been shown to be lacking in a lot of different ways. So I don't know what people, I understand why people don't want to get tested. It's too long. Not going to get my results back fast enough. I don't think I'm going to die. Everything's going to be okay. It's frustrating as hell. But when you've got a thing that is destroying our economy, when you have something that is continuing not to destroy our economy, but is once again starting to warm up in other places that thought they were through the worst of it, that is going to affect our economy down the road, you're doing all you can as we head into an election. The fact that and I'm all about states' rights. I'm totally about states' rights. Like people want, we should mandate masks. We should do this, that, and the other. Well, it's funny because, you've got the likes of who potentially may be our next president saying, hey, you know what? We need to have a mandate nationally.
Biden and Harris are calling for the next 3 months a national mask mandate.
I mean, this is what we've been missing from the White House this whole year is having a national strategy, national unification about what we need to do. What the Biden and Harris team has called for is a good first step. The unknown part about the masks is whether that's enough to really bring it down to where we can safely open up schools across, especially in the southern states where the epidemic is still raging.
Raging. Well, what's your national mandate going to be? Because states are going to come out. States who are red are going to say, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And states that are blue will be all about it. And if Trump went out and said national mandate, states that are blue would say, well, we're going to handle our own thing. States that are red will say, absolutely, because that's where we are. I remember when everybody wanted Trump to get more involved. Remember at the beginning of this? More involved. Cuomo. When Trump said, look, the majority at the beginning of this, February, March, April, majority of cases were where? New York. They were starting to trace the majority of the cases around the country. 60% of them were coming from New York at one time. So he said, I might have to restrict travel outside of New York. People in New York, you're there. Cuomo comes out. You just declared war on the states. Politics is involved across the board in this crap. National mandate, depending on who the president is and who your governor is, will only go so far because the battle will be there. This is as much political as it is anything else. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I used to live near Death Valley. Why? I couldn't tell you. We used to live out in Palm Springs area. Yesterday, 3:41 p.m., 130 degrees. Now, in 1913, it had 134. I was telling the guys, when I first moved to Palm Springs, it was 2013. And it was my first summer there. Now, I've got red hair and fair skin. When I went to Europe, I embraced the cold. I embraced the mist. It was my friend. The heat, not so much. I looked at my son. I said, I don't know if I can do this. He was like 2.5 years old. He's like, Daddy, I don't want to be here. It was nuts. And that year, in 2013, we had something similar, which was 129 there, and it was about 120 in Palm Springs. Over the weekend, we got here in Arizona about 116, and we've got like 4 or 5 days in a row where we're looking at 119. It is hot. Did I play golf? I did. Because why? Because I'm nuts. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Text the program as well. Check out Chad Benson Show TV. See what's going on the YouTube. MyPillow, amazing, incredible. Sleep better, travel better. And I say that because I do travel a lot. And travel better to me means make sure you got your Stow and Go Anywhere pillow, which is awesome, especially if you're out on the road or you're doing something. I love it. They got a BOGO going on. Buy one, get one free. Absolutely easy, easy, easy peasy. You go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. When you do, you buy one, you get one free. And that's on all of the stuff they have. The Giza sheets and towels. I mean, their towels are amazing. The sheets are incredible. And, of course, the MyPillows. You get a 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty, made in the USA. Now, when you check out, if you buy Mike Lindell's book, he's going to ship everything for free and give you a $25 gift card towards your next purchase. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Registered voters approve of Joe Biden's decision to select Kamala Harris by a 25-point margin, 54 to 29%. 54% also say they see Harris as qualified to take over as president if something happened to Biden, equal to those who say Mike Pence would be ready to step in for Trump. Just 33% say she's too liberal, something the Trump campaign has tried to brand her as.
Is she liberal? Yeah, she's further left than I think some people realize. She's also, it's weird. She's left of Biden, but she's also establishment. You know, normally when elections go on, when you're running in the primaries, you play to the base because it's all about getting in to the final race, right? So that's what it's all about, being in the last pairing. And then from there, you kind of calm it down a little bit. You try to reach across the aisle. You try to appeal to people that are on the other side, if you will, but they're not to the extremes. So maybe a liberal Democrat, a liberal Republican, a conservative Democrat, the Reagan Democrats. You try to find that because you need those independents. You need those people that have voted in different ways for years. That's what swings these things. People that voted for the last guy is now going to vote for this one over here. People that voted for this one over here last time is now going to vote for this one over here. So that's what you need. The problem is nowadays is everybody's gone to their extreme bases and they don't feel they should leave any part of that. So we'll see what takes place. We'll see how they try to work this and if they can work it correctly to appeal to people. Because I still think there's an exhausted majority, the tired majority out there who doesn't want the insanity of both sides, extremes, who doesn't want to listen to people yell at each other, talk about crazy things that really have nothing to do with day-to-day life because you're trying to excite your base. But you need my vote. We're hoping to interview Biden here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to ask him straight up, how do you get my vote? Well, I'm calling for calm and majority. I want to be united. Okay, if I'm not into your politics, right? How do you get my vote? Because to say that I don't like Trump, that's how you get my vote, to me is it's all about character. No, it's about competence. Stop making everything about character. Character matters, yes. But at the end of the day, competence is the one that matters. Who can get the job done on the things that I feel are important? I couldn't tell you at this point. Like I said, both will snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. While the ABC poll has Harris and Biden up, CNN's poll showing it get much, much closer. And I think it's going to be somewhat of a foot race as we head into the final stretch. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. That being said, guess what? New Zealand's doing something.
Moving an election date, especially this late in the electoral cycle, is a significant decision. In the end, what matters most is what is in the best interests of voters in our democracy.
Yeah, they are going to move their election date. I'm sure Trump would love to do that. In New Zealand, 60% of people in New Zealand want the election date moved because of that thing. We know what it is.
COVID is the world's new normal. Here in New Zealand, we are all working as hard as we can to make sure that our new normal disrupts our lives as little as possible.
It's not the new normal, by the way. It's just not the new normal. It's just a moment in time. But they're going to move their election day, which was very tough for us to do. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the post office. What in God's name is going on with the damn post office? Why do we have a post office? But at this point in time, what the hell's going on? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Tonight, they will kick things off with a focus on the three crises that are facing this country: the pandemic, the economic downturn, and the national reckoning over racial justice. It will all be an effort by Democrats to argue that the president is failing in these three areas, and a chance for them to showcase how Joe Biden would be leading differently in this moment. It will culminate with a speech tonight from the former First Lady Michelle Obama. And we are told that Joe Biden will make a brief appearance in a video tonight, all leading up to his big acceptance speech on Thursday.
The reckoning. It's a reckoning. Love it. So that's today. So later tonight. Late. We'll see what it's like. It's weird because you're going to be doing it digitally. So while you'll say we're reaching more people, we're doing all these kind of things, there's a certain sense of enthusiasm that you're missing, and the drama sometimes that can take place when you're there in person. The reality is it's mostly for the muckety mucks, right? We're doing this because this is what we do. This is what we've always done. There's a reason for it, blah, 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 blah. How many people really are going to pay that much attention to it tonight? I couldn't tell you. I just know that this is different.
We can't do it like we did in 2016. That's just not realistic.
This is my favorite catch, is my Donald Trump bobblehead.
With the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, the 2020 political conventions will be dramatically different. But it's not the first time conventions have undergone a major redesign.
Especially if a party loses, the party then changes its rules. The convention process is sort of always evolving.
Yeah, they do. It's always, and it's weird because being in the media, we were, especially in Cleveland, we were inside. So they had set up the Quicken Loan Center. That's where at the time the Cleveland Cavs had LeBron back again, and this is where it was. And this was going to be awesome. So they set us up in a garage, like a 4 or 5 story garage, with no accoutrements as far as, like, there was no food. You had to go somewhere. You had to go across the street to get into the building. You walk through the thing. It took forever to get in. So you get inside there, and it was air conditioned, and they had set up studios inside parts of these. It was just a bizarre situation. Like, you had to go downstairs. You had to run like 3 flights of stairs to go downstairs. It was crazy. It was. Not this crazy.
Conventions started in the 1830s as an attempt to make the presidential nomination process more democratic and transparent. Delegates represent the different states and vote on the nominee.
17 votes for Governor George Bush of Texas.
In early conventions, delegates were handpicked by party bosses and could vote on the candidate of their choice. But the process could be a little messy, often requiring dozens of ballots to select a nominee. There were boos and heckles, even fistfights.
Yeah, that'd have been fun. That would be even better. So you pick your strongest, baddest person, and the other side picks theirs, and they have them battle it out, and the winner goes to they get the electoral college. I mean, we should do it the whole way, right? They get the nomination. And then if they win the vote, then we go from there. You pick yours, I pick mine. That'll be more entertaining than what's going to go on. What's going to go on is lots of lawsuits across the board. That's what's going to happen. We're going to have tons of it. And why? Well, it's bizarre, but I don't know if you guys are aware of this. We have a problem with the post office. What? Yeah. We have a problem with the post office. Why is that? The Postmaster General is somebody who gave to Trump. Take apart election machines, don't have the mail ready, make sure it takes forever, stop mail ballots, all of this stuff. I mean, this is the battle that we've got. Now, they want a ton of money to fix the system. Here's the one thing I've always known. The more money you throw at something, rarely does that mean you're going to get the results you want. And I tell everybody, I'm totally fine with mail-in ballots. Everybody's like, well, there's all kinds of fraud. Don't confuse nefariousness with incompetence.
The question of whether the Postmaster General is going to testify. Do you have any indications that he'll agree to show up? And do you think if he doesn't, he should be arrested, as some members of the House have called for?
He definitely needs to show up. The American people need transparency. They need to understand exactly what's happening at the Postal Service. He has not been forthcoming. Initially, he said, well, there are no national policy changes that are leading to a slowdown in mail delivery. He's now said something differently. He contradicted that, said, no, there are national policies.
So, Louis DeJoy, he's a business dude. He's appointed in May by the governors, the Board of Governors of the U.S. to serve as the 75th Postmaster General and CEO. Comes with a salary, by the way, about 300 G's. It's not bad. I don't even, at this point in time, I just look at it and say, it's just such a bizarre thing that we're talking about Postmaster General and the election that mail-in versus absentee. What's the difference? These people could cheat. Those people could cheat. What went wrong? How's it going wrong?
He doesn't answer some key questions, is what sort of data and what sort of analysis went into these changes before you made them? Did you appreciate that there could be a slowdown in mail? And now that there is a slowdown in mail, what's plan B? How can we go back to previous standards? So he needs to be much more transparent. I'm hearing from folks all across Michigan. In fact, I've had thousands of people send me their stories of how mail is being delayed. We need to get to the bottom of this.
Is it delayed? Is it not delayed? Is it just slow? Is it delayed on purpose? And that's Senator Gary Peters, who wants to know, why is stuff delayed? Why do you care about the post office now? The post office has been a losing proposition for a long time. It has been. We know that. They never make money. They're always asking for money. Now you're going to have lawsuits, and I'm telling you guys, lawsuits are coming left, right, and center. Pelosi's upset. She's coming back.
Across the country, state election officials, Republicans and Democrats, are sounding the alarm about what's happening at the Postal Service and how the changes there could impact the nearly 80 million Americans who are expected to cast their ballots by mail. Speaker Pelosi taking that dramatic action, declaring lives, livelihoods, and the life of our American democracy are under threat.
Everything is under threat. So when you have something under threat, what do? What's the first thing you do? Lawyer up.
There is no evidence that expanding vote by mail will lead to widespread voter fraud. ABC News has learned that Democrat attorneys general from at least 6 states are considering legal action against the Trump administration to protect the operations of the United States Postal Service.
It's necessary. We all like mail, right? We do. And Trump, there's some truth in that. Are we set up for it? Let's take out the politics. Is the post office set up for this in a way to be successful? I don't know. Places like Colorado, they've got it down. They've been doing it several elections. Other states that have been doing it for a while seem to have a good grasp on it. Other states that are just getting into it and trying have floundered. So there are serious questions about nefariousness or incompetence. 2 separate things. But now, if you go, all right, everybody can do mail-in voting, and it goes south, they're going to be like, Trump cheated, got everybody to do something wrong. Even if there was no nefariousness, it was just incompetence. They're not set up. And the battle's going to continue to go on. Now, I've looked at so many different studies, and all of them kind of say the same thing. It's so small. It's so minute. It is so, like it goes back to being hit by lightning or this greater chance of being hit by lightning that they have shown. Doesn't mean things can't happen. Because we all know they do, but it just as easily can happen at the ballot. Every year. We have an election. What are we going to find? Talk about it all the time. You're going to find somebody putting stuff in the back of their hatchback. I always joke about that. I'm like, why does a man have a hatchback? Or you're going to find stuff in the dumpster, things like that. And people go, oh, my goodness, they're going to point this stuff out. You could just as easily have that happen.
We want to make sure that every vote counts, but that only one vote counts. And so when you look at that, this debate is really over a process. A number of states now trying to figure out how they're going to go to universal mail-in ballots. That's a disaster where we won't know the election results on November 3rd. And we might not know it for months. And for me, that's problematic because the Constitution says that then a Nancy Pelosi in the House would actually pick the president on January 20th. So we need to make sure that we do it right.
Now, that's Mark Meadows. You can argue, is there widespread cheating? Probably not. Are they ready and prepared to deliver everything the right way with there being no screw-ups? Probably not.
Move. You'll change your driver's license, but you don't call up and say, hey, by the way,
there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud, though. But there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
There's no evidence that there's not either. That's the definition of fraud, Jake.
No, it's not. I think it'll be fine in some states. I think other states are going to have a serious problem just because they're not prepared to handle it. I have no problem with it. I think if you go and you register, show your ID, Chad, you're racist, whatever. Go, show your ID. Once you're registered, you should be allowed to mail in your vote. It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't. But don't confuse nefariousness and incompetence. Because I think there are several states out there that they're going to find out as they try to do this, it's going to go bad fast. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. Hello, Fresh. I ate really good over the weekend. I tend to do that. I tend to eat yummy. HelloFresh is here for you. You get 22 chef-curated recipes each week. So what happens is it's mailed directly to you. Contact-free, saving money about 40% versus shopping at the grocery store. So you have your choice. This week, I'm doing low-calorie. Vegetarian is available. Family-friendly options. That's my favorite. You got craft burgers. They got surf and turf. They got everything you can ever imagine, and it's sent right to you. And it's awesome. From the time you go, okay, we're going to do this tonight, you take out the card. It's got the recipe on it. You got your bag of stuff in there. You go, okay, this is what you do. You assemble the thing. You put it inside the oven, cook it up. From the time you do that and make that decision to the time you sit down and start eating is about 20 minutes. The other thing is you can change your delivery days. You can add extra meals. You can skip a week. Whatever it is that you want to do, HelloFresh is flexible to fit your lifestyle. Here's the other great thing. America's #1 meal kit is going to do something special for you. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use code Benson. When you do, $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. That's promo code Benson at HelloFresh.com for $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Take it anymore! Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
The momentum and the motivation for some of the other conferences to play is even more today than it was 3 weeks ago. Yes, they realize the virus is out there, but if the SEC can play while the Big Ten is home, that is a disaster from a recruiting standpoint for all of the schools in the Big Ten.
Absolutely. And the Big Ten, a lot of the parents are upset. The kids are upset. They're angry about what's going on. They feel like they didn't have the opportunity to have their say. And it's from a pure college football standpoint, the SEC I know is going to play. I think the ACC is going to play, and probably Big 12. So the Pac-12 and the Big Ten are going to sit it out. And when he talks about Paul Feinbaum, the recruiting side of things, where are you going to go right now? You're looking around. And on top of that, there's going to be players that are like, I want to opt out right now and try to get into one of these programs to play. This is what I want. You just took me off the field for a year. I don't want that to happen. Parents are upset. They're starting to speak out.
Iowa, Ohio State, and Penn State parents sending letters to the Big Ten commissioner demanding to know what changed when a fall schedule was announced 6 days earlier, then pulled. ESPN college football reporter Heather Dinich.
Kevin Warren, the Big Ten commissioner, has told me we did this with the best interests of the student athletes in mind.
But despite the angst directed at Warren,
the university presidents are the one making the decisions.
But parents demanding transparency and that the players be included in the decision-making process.
Yeah, I bet. Well, they weren't. And they said they were just doing their thing, following science.
As a parent, if somebody comes to me and says, your kid is at great harm and risk if they continue to play, then and the legit medical science is providing that information, we would certainly listen to that.
Yeah, I think they would. But they're looking around going, well hold on a second. Where's all the science and data? Because nobody's done this. So you don't have the science and data. Many of these kids are going to be on campus anyway in several of these schools. So if it was, well, they're going to be on campus, they could potentially get sick. Would you rather them on campus around doctors who will be able to test them almost on a daily basis?
We are not saying play regardless of the effects and impacts of this. And if people are at risk of serious injury and dying, we want to continue to play anyway. But right now, we haven't been presented any information that suggests that is true.
Yeah. One of the parents there upset. I understand it completely. I do. Because the way they went about it, I think, was so strange. You come out on like a Monday or like a Wednesday and you say, here's our schedule. And then like Monday, you're like, we're going to not play. You're like, well, why did you do that? Because what has changed in those 5 or 6 days that you didn't already know? And I'll tell you what changed. Lawyers. Lawyers said, liability, guys. Stay as far away from this thing as possible. Liability. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Text the program as well. A man rescued his wife from a shark.
You see the mother of your child and your support, everything that's who you are. And so you just react.
Yeah, he did. He react. What did he do? So he's surfing, sees his wife getting attacked by about a 7-foot great white shark.
Was trying to leverage to get punches onto it from above.
Yeah, so he was punching down, and he jumped off the board, whacked the thing. Thing wasn't done.
I was only about 2 meters away when it grabbed, but if she wasn't on her board by that stage and strong enough to lift herself up, I think it would have dragged her down.
Probably. They take a bite. Here's the thing, sharks. I think we all know this. They don't have thumbs. So they don't have hands. And they're like, that is interesting. I don't know what that is. But I'm just going to see. That's all I'm going to do. So if you don't have hands, you don't have, like my lizards have the Jacobs organs, where they come out and they can kind of taste things in the air, then you're going to take a different kind of look at things. And that look comes with your giant mouth, with giant teeth, and a giant bite. It's not a giant bite to them. It's exploratory. But when you are made up of stuff that tears easy, you find out that that's not good. But he punched the shark on a few occasions. Shark finally said, I don't want this. This isn't a seal. Taken off, you jerk. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Happy Monday. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The challenge for Democrats over these next 4 days is how to hold a convention without anyone actually convening. There will be no convention floor packed with delegates, no cheering or applause, and no balloon drop. But here is what we will see. 2 hours a night, hundreds of virtual videos and highly choreographed speeches from across the country, some taped and some live. We will be hearing from members of the party's old guard, its rising stars, and even one Republican.
Yeah, that's Kasich, who, by the way, says it. Be ready for some big news. What big news? I don't know. Big news. Republicans. Are they jumping ship? What? I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do 4 days of stuff that's taped and there's no, it's going to be very anticlimactic. I mean, think about this, right? What put Barack Obama in the spotlight? What put him out there and made people go, whoa, who's this guy? Speaking at the convention. Doing it now from your office or some little area that you think there's no part of what it is getting that energy from the crowd. Part of what it is feeding off that crowd. Part of what it is like, and this is something, the greatest 17 minutes in rock and roll music history, without a doubt, was Freddie Mercury, Queen, Wembley, Live Aid. There was nothing else that compares to it. Why? Because the energy of the crowd. The energy is huge. Watch playoffs in sports now. None of it matters. Who cares if you're the first seed or the eighth seed at this point in time? None of it matters. There's no home court advantage. You're playing at the same court every night with no fans. Tonight, you get to wear the white uniforms. Tomorrow, you have to wear the different colored uniforms. It means nothing. So that's going to be a huge challenge, and that's on both sides of it. And I still have no idea what the Republicans are going to do. That's all of it's jumbled and bizarre. But this is where we're at. This right here is where we're at least for this moment and this time. So you'll have a lot of speakers. Some of it'll be okay, I guess. I mean, I don't really know. Alex Stone, who from ABC News, he puts it best here.
In some ways, this is like covering a big Zoom call. Video messages sent in from around the country. Some are pre-recorded. Democrats are trying to make sure this doesn't seem like an infomercial, like they're trying to sell you an air fryer when you tune into it and hear a bunch of pro-Democrat messages without a crowd, but nobody knows how it will be received.
I think that says it all. It's a big, giant Zoom call. And don't be surprised if it gets hacked. That would be my biggest worry. Not how people receive it, because it's going to sound, I mean, they're all infomercials. But what happens when it gets hacked? Because you know it's going to happen. You know it. It's coming. Whether it's somebody who's trying to do something nefarious or whether it's some people who are just trying to have fun, at some point in time, this is going to happen. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Then you've got Trump out there.
But this year, I think we have much more enthusiasm. Maybe those people back there would understand it better than anybody. But I think there's more enthusiasm for 2020 than there was even for 2016. And 2016 was a record. You found that out. And I believe there's much more enthusiasm now than there was even in 2016. We have a silent majority, the likes of which nobody has seen.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if there is a silent majority out there. We will see if there is a silent majority that is ready to jump on the Trump train and that they're just very quiet about it, according to polls, but polls mean very little. First of all, they've adapted somewhat. Even 538 said we had to adapt everything. With Trump, you throw everything out. So you do that. With cancel culture, you have to throw things out because people are worried about a lot of different things. Do I think Trump has a lot of enthusiasm? I think amongst his base, it is just as ravenous as it's ever been, if not more so. But has the base grown? Probably not. And much like with Hillary, the enthusiasm against Trump is massive. But does that mean anything? That I don't know.
With Joe Biden here in Wilmington getting ready for the kickoff of his party's virtual convention, today's ABC News Washington Post poll finding Biden holding a 12-point lead over Trump among registered voters and a 10-point lead among likely voters. Biden at 54% among likely voters, Trump at 44%. Also, the poll showing the share of Biden supporters who say they are very enthusiastic about supporting him has grown from 28% in March to 48% today.
Now, how real is that? Well, Bernie's people aren't. And remember, Bernie's people cost Hillary the election in a lot of ways. They didn't like her. Some of them said, I'd rather vote for Trump. Because remember, it's not about who they like. See, I think a lot of people think that the people, especially Bernie followers want to tear down the system. However and whoever can help them get there faster, they'll jump on board. So if Trump is a better route and 4 more years of Trump destroying the system as far as they're concerned, causing more chaos and hell, that will help further them along, I think they're all for it. But as far as enthusiasm, even our good buddy Bernie.
A lot of my supporters are not enthusiastic about Joe Biden. You know why? I ran against Joe Biden. But I think there is overwhelming understanding that Donald Trump must be defeated, Biden must be elected, and that the day after he is elected, we're going to do everything we can to create a government that works for all of us and not just the 1% and wealthy campaign contributors.
Yeah. We'll see. We're not going to know till that night how I think people really feel. And at the end of the day, it's probably going to be more than a few days, if not weeks, before we get an actual victory from somebody. People are going to lawyer up. You've got chaos and craziness when it comes to what's going on with vote in to not vote in. How do you vote? Can you vote here? What's going to happen? Should you be able to go? Of course you should be able to go vote. People are worried. Well, I don't know about that. But with all the stuff that's going on, settle down, right? Everybody needs to settle down. If you can go stand in line at Costco, you can go vote. By the way, I don't want to stand in line anywhere. So I don't go to things. People are like, why don't you go to concerts? Because I don't want to park. I don't want to stand in line. I want to be around a bunch of people. It's just the way it is. It's just, I don't. Yeah, vote by mail. Fantastic. It's easy. Would I, if I had to? Oh, 100%. But it is silly to think, well, this is going to be a bad time for us to do this.
Can people safely go out and vote in person?
If carefully done according to the guidelines, there's no reason that I can see why that not be the case. You know, when you look at going to a grocery store, they have X's every 6 or more feet. And it says, don't leave this spot until the person in front of you left their spot. You can do that if you go and wear a mask, if you observe the physical distancing and don't have a crowded situation. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. No reason whatsoever. What about ID? I think you should. I think to register, you should show ID. Outside of that, you should be allowed to go about doing your things. And I think the mail-in thing, I have no problem with. A lot of Republicans do. Well, it's more of a way to cheat. That can't be the answer for everything. It's like, well, we're going to do this. Well, people can cheat. People can cheat at any time. Is everybody aware of that? They can cheat at any given time. You can find people at the ballot that can do things. But when you look at, and all we have is past, right? What's all we have? You're paying on the past, no matter what it is. I can go on the past. That's it. I'm going to give you this contract, super athlete, because your past performance is this. Now, that may change. But based on all that I have right now, Mr. Movie Person, you, Tom Cruise, you're going to get X amount of dollars. Why? Because at the box office, I know what I'm going to get from you based on the past. Past performance is not indicative of the future, but that's all we have to go on. We don't have a CSAR that can tell, oh, this is going to happen. I think you should be able to register to vote, get an ID. If it's that important to you, you'll figure it out a way to get an ID. Register yourself to vote, and then if you want to vote by mail, do it. Do I think nefariousness can happen? Not really. Do I think incompetence can happen and the mail could struggle? Oh, absolutely. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program. One of the things I did on my day off was relaxing and do a little masterclass. This is awesome. So masterclass is incredible. So if you don't know what this is, imagine being taught by the best of the best in everything, like everything in the world. You want to learn poker? Phil Ivey's going to teach you how to play poker. No way. Yeah. You want to learn comedy? Here's Steve Martin. It is incredible. Each class is broken into individual video lessons that fit easily into your everyday life. So about 20 lessons per class, about 10 minutes each. Go at your own pace from your phone, your computer, your tablet, smart TV, whatever it is. Plus, you get downloaded materials, workbooks, exercises, recipes, you name it. They've got 85 classes from the best of the best, world-class instructors for things you've always wanted to do. Whether it's a hobby or you're saying to yourself, man, I would really like to do something. I'd really like, this would be awesome. This guy's going to teach me chess? Kasparov's going to teach me chess? Yeah. I highly recommend it. It's about growing. It's about learning. It's awesome. You get unlimited access every masterclass. All you have to do is go, for all my Chad Benson Show listeners, you can save 15%. You go to masterclass.com/Benson. That's masterclass.com/Benson. You're going to save 15% right there, and it's not expensive at all. Masterclass.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui.
Fui, fui, and double fui.
Boy, it's your language. This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Well, the DNC Digital National Convention kicks off today. That's trending big time. Huge. Rush Limbaugh's trending. He said something about Kamala Harris and Willie Brown. If you guys don't know what it is, I won't rehash it. Just know that they had a relationship a long time ago when she was much younger and he was still very old. Willie had a lot of things going on, if you will. The United States Postal Service, never in the time of the Postal Service have more people paid attention to the Postal Service. It's trending. As well as Lionel Messi, arguably the greatest player in the history of soccer, who said over the weekend after his team got destroyed that he wants out of Barcelona, the only place he's ever played. So think about that. Think about LeBron James or Michael Jordan never going to college, never playing anywhere else except at a very young age, like 8 or 9, catching on with a team like the Chicago Bulls and only ever being there. But he's had enough. They got their heads handed to him by the Germans, Bayern Munich, and it was ugly. Death Valley, also trending. 130 degrees in the Valley of Death. 130 degrees. Now, the last time was anywhere close to this, 2013. I happened to be living not too far from Death Valley in 2013, in the Coachella Valley. And I remember it was a Saturday, I think, and it was the grossest day ever. I hadn't been out there in the Coachella Valley for that long. I had Jack with me. He was like 2.5 years old. It was just beyond gross. It was 129 there. I think it was about 120 in the Coachella Valley. And the Southwest right now, even through California and the northern parts, are just feeling it. But yesterday, 130 degrees. The highest reading was a century earlier, is 134 degrees. So that is ugly. That is ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Just gross. I remember they've got a golf course, I think, out in Death Valley, and it's like, let's say it's 9 holes, and they got a driving range. And when it got to, when everybody knew was going to get there, people started heading out there because they thought it'd be hilarious just for a laugh to go do something. So I just remember there was a guy in a Darth Vader outfit hitting golf balls. And all I kept thinking is, I don't want to leave my house. I just do not want to leave. Jack and I went back, and we swam in the pool. And you would get out of the pool, and it was sweat. Like it was like 95 in the pool. It was just gross. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from all of you guys. It's just interesting to see this craziness, and I want to see how they pull this off. Because you wouldn't want to go first, right, in this world of conventions. And the DNC, because if it goes south, the RNC is going to be like, we got to do the exact opposite of whatever they do. Like, just the complete exact opposite of whatever happens, just go the other direction. But I do think at one point in time, especially if something's going live, don't be surprised if something gets hacked. I can feel it. My spider senses a tingling. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program. Check out Chad Benson Show TV on the YouTube. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Going from ideological left to right, you have Senator Bernie Sanders and you have former Governor John Kasich, a Republican who ran for president just 4 years ago. So that, I think, is one indication. You also got some red state Democrats, people like Senator Doug Jones from Alabama. And the end of the night is going to be Michelle Obama. The First Lady, as we know, is one of the most popular figures, if not the most popular political figure in the country. She's taped her speech, but that is going to be the last thing that delegates virtually and the audience at home gets to see tonight.
There you go. It's all going to be happening much later. A lot of stuff in between going on as we speak. Just blah. It's just, Alex Stone said it best from ABC News, just a giant Zoom call. And that's where we're at. That's where we are. So the DNC kicks off. Joe will make a smattering of appearances throughout before he does the speech. So they'll go and they'll open up the thing, and then he'll pop out and they'll be like, hey! And they'll put him back in. There's a great article today. I think it's in Yahoo Finance, where when Joe was going to go, when he got up and running, that Obama said, don't underestimate Joe's ability to blank things up. Yeah. I'll continue to say this. Between now and November 3rd, they will each, being President Trump and Joe Biden, snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, meaning they will be on their way to a victory. It looks that the tide have turned for Trump, or that Joe is holding steady, and somewhere along the line, they will go, give me that defeat, and they'll snatch it away. It will happen. It will.
Usually you come into a convention, you're talking about all the divisions, fights over party platform, and are there going to be boos when certain speakers get up or cheers for certain lines? All of that is gone. So instead, this really is about getting the Democratic base and any independents and maybe even Republicans motivated to vote.
How motivated are people? I think the left isn't motivated by Joe. They're not. There's nothing about Joe that excites them. He's safe. He's that comfort food we talk about, right? He's that meatloaf and potatoes. He feels good, but he's not. And it's just nothing about him that's like, oh, my God. Trump excites and angers. So there's motivation there. That gives Joe huge motivation. If Trump didn't anger people, he probably wouldn't excite them either. So it'd be kind of a, vanilla wafer versus vanilla wafer. It's different, though. Right now, this is all about Trump. Trump will decide this. How? Well, you're either going to vote for him or against him. That's the way this is going to go. You're going to vote for him or against him. It'll be interesting to see what takes place and how the Republicans respond to it in the coming days. But I don't think it's going to be, this is just, it's a Zoom call. That's the reality of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. All that being said, we still have the coronavirus. There are still serious issues. And are we getting anywhere?
I have not seen much in the way of evidence that worries me about immunity, at least that far out. We'll have to see what happens in the long run. But if my goal is if we can keep people immune, if infections keep people immune for at least a year, then once we have a vaccine, we will be able to deal with that.
Which would be great. That's Dr. Jha. Ashin Jha. Probably said it wrong. My apologies. Here's the reality of that, though. You're saying a year. CDC comes out and says 3 months. Nobody really knows how long, if you get this, your immunity will be there. Nobody does. Could it be a year? Absolutely. Could it be longer? 100%. Could it be to the point where even though you may catch it a second time, 6 months or a year from now, it won't be as bad as the first time? Absolutely. That's right. Nobody knows about this. And then the other side of it is kids. Kids. What to do with kids? How safe is it for kids? That's the big question for a lot of parents today, whose kids should be either returning to school or should have already returned to school or should be looking in the next week or two to be back in the classroom.
Good news is that in Massachusetts, community transmission is very low. Our percent of tests coming back positive are very low. And our schools got a good plan for opening up the schools safely. So put it all together, And I do think it's safe for my kids to go back.
Dr. Gupta last week, I would not send my kids to school. I wasn't even on Friday on my local show, and I had people come out and attack me because something my on-air partner said about the evil Queen Creek, which is a school that's getting ready to send their kids back starting today. And people here are upset and pissed off. Why? Because you know what? They're looking at teachers going, you guys need to be back in the classroom. At some point in time, you need to be back in the classroom. This is ridiculous. If you can go work at a grocery store, if you can go work at a fast food restaurant, if you can go work at Costco, why can't you be back in the classroom? And that's the battle that's going on here.
In Arizona, it feels like they're waiting for people to get hurt. People who seem to think that COVID's just a cold.
Jake France resigning from his teaching job, condemning his district's rush to return to the classroom as the state logs the highest rate of pediatric cases and hospitalizations in the country. At a district outside Phoenix, some parents applauding a mass sick-out of more than 100 teachers canceling the first day of school.
There you go. Do it. People say, would you send your kids? I have no problem. I'd send Jack in a heartbeat. Here's the problem. Jack's school's closed. They're not opening for a while. I would not be surprised if Jack goes to school in a month or doesn't go to school for the entire year. Why aren't we talking about the flu when it comes to kids? Is this really about the kids? Because they make it about, because that's what you do, right? When you want to raise taxes so you can pay for more stuff for schools, more administrators, better teacher salary, what do? You make it about the kids. Well, Chad, kids can get this. Kids die at the flu at a much higher rate than this. A much higher rate than this. We don't shut down schools for kids. When it's flu season, we don't hey, kids can't go. Like if you said, I'm not sending my kid to school from October through whenever because of flu, the school board would be freaking out. Next thing you get a knock on the door. It's like, why isn't your kid going to school? It's like, it's flu season. Get the flu. Flu affects children much more than this. I don't want anybody to get sick. You have to say that. Like, you have to preface it. I don't want anybody to get sick. You have to preface always those things that you have to, let me say this first, which means you're going to be an a-hole. That's fine. I'm quitting. Nobody was forcing you. Nobody woke up and go, hey, you got that gun? Yeah, give it to me. I got to force this guy to go teach kids. Oh, why are you here? I've been forced. They're holding my family hostage. If I don't teach these kids, you can go get another job. It's my calling. Then figure out what you need to do. And are there teachers out there that you have to look at and say, all right, you've got underlying health conditions. We spoke to a teacher last week who quit from Queen Creek, which is a school district here that is going to start kids back in school or supposed to. And the reason he quit is because he had all these underlying health conditions. And by the way, after speaking with him, we cut the interview down to 5 minutes. We had to edit it. I was like, I don't want him teaching my kid. I was like, I don't know. But in saying all of that, I just said to the guy, you've got type 2 diabetes. You have all of these health problems. So I see why you did that and you stepped away from it. That's your choice. But nobody forced you to become a teacher. Nobody did. That was a choice you made. It wasn't like at the end of the day, there was it's either this or you got to go to jail. It was you wanted to be a teacher. Maybe you wanted to be a teacher because you thought you had all this great stuff to give to kids. This knowledge, this experience. Maybe you wanted to be a teacher because you thought, you know what, looks like a fun job. Get a few months off during the year. Find out it's a little bit harder than you thought it was. At the end of the day, it sucks that this is going on. But you've also got a lot of parents out there that are having to make choices of whether or not to quit their jobs. I've talked to I don't know how many parents in the last week or so that thought, well, it's got to be better than last year's hodgepodge online schooling that they tried to put together, only to find out that it's not. It's actually just as bad, if not worse. And you have too many teachers who have absolutely no technical ability whatsoever, that making even a Zoom phone call is a nightmare. This battle's going to go on, and across the country, and this is sad but true, teachers are also going to find out that the longer this goes on, the more that parents feel like, okay, I'm doing this all now. Why would I want to send my kid back to school? I'm going to send my kids to private school, and when you guys ask for more money from me, for more taxes, that's going to be a giant no. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. Yes, indeed, kids, it is crazy. It is lunacy. We're still talking about the insanity of the post office. I can't even believe that. Every time I turn around, I'm like, are we really having actual conversations about the post office and the election?
The ballots only make up 2% of the mail. And so don't really have to worry too much about the ballots are going to overload the system. They're going to be spread out over a month or so. So that's not going to be a concern too. It's just like Christmas.
Yeah, that's what they say. But the ones that have tried to do this much quicker than I think they thought have not done it well. Have not. So there will be some issues, but I think at the end of the day, I am totally fine with mail-in. But I think you need to go register to be on, and that's the way. It shouldn't be that hard. I mean, this is what we do. We make everything, politics gets in the way of common sense. It's not a good thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It only makes up 2%. Have you seen the mail? Seen the way they operate at times? 2% can go a long way in messing things up. Just let you know. Raycons, best earbuds around, E25s. What? So what do you get with these Raycons? So earbuds, I mean, I love watching the people wear those white earbuds with the little stems that stick out of the people's ears. Sometimes they wear them so weird. You're like, what is those antennas? You don't get that with these. Stylish, cool, sleek, go right in your ears, nice noise isolating fit, seamless Bluetooth pairing, 6 hours of playtime, compact design. It's awesome. And normally you'd spend $200, $250, well under $100 with these. And you're going to save huge. So whether you're making a video conference call, right? You're listening to your favorite podcast, Chad Benson Show, or you're just making a regular old phone call. They'll hear you, you'll hear them. This is what I love. Snoop Dogg, Cardi B, Brandy, J.R. Smith, Melissa Etheridge, just a few people who Ray J, when he put these together, took them to and says, check these out. And they love them, and so will you. Save big, 15% on top of already low price by going to buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
It's a culture transformation first, to make sure that we have an organization that people want to be a part of, and that itself will start to expand the value of the franchise and make the good things happen.
Yeah, culture transformation. Where? Washington unnamed football team. I don't even know if they have uniforms. They have uniforms there, Producer Phil? Have you guys decided on a uniform, or are you just going to wear the colors with nothing else?
We're probably just going to be plain right now.
Yeah, it's all right. It doesn't matter. We know who lost.
For me, it's personal, an opportunity to bring together my two worlds in a really unique way at a really unique time. And the fact that I happen to be black and the most qualified person for this is a boost.
Yeah. So that right there is Jason Reitman. He is the new president. He's only 38 years old, of the Washington unnamed football team. And he's got a big, take away the racial aspect, get down to the business side of it, right? Because the racial thing that's not going in. That's a component. You're hired to do a job. You have maybe the hardest job in pro sports right now as a GM or a president, which is turning around a lackluster team that have had more than a few serious incidents, who has an owner who is, you don't even know what to do with him. And now you're in a position that you've got to usher in a brand new culture. On top of that, you've got to figure out, because at the end of the day, you may go and make a culture great. But if you're 2-14, 3-13, 5-11, you'll find out that at the end of the day, NFL means not for long.
It's going to engage the fans intensely. It's going to engage the sponsors intensely. And by the end of this is going to be a community decision that we make as a Washington football community.
Yeah. I have no idea what they're going to do. There is interesting news, though, for the Washington football franchise. Alex Smith was taken off the PUP. The PUP list is the physically unable to perform list. I mean, he doesn't count against the salary cap, but he still gets paid. And about, 2 years ago, his leg was beyond shattered. It wasn't even, it made Joe Theismann look like nothing. I thought, they were thought he could die on the field. I mean, it was just, they thought they were going to amputate it. But he worked hard, got himself back, and he is now in a position to at least fight for a backup position, which will be good. It'll be interesting. But that's kind of cool. That is kind of cool, because it was gross. It was like, oh, God. Oh, God. Hope he doesn't get COVID. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Yes, you can text the program as well. The must-have accessory is the dog.
There's a higher number of people that have adopted pets or that also have pets and have even still adopted pets on top of the pets they already own.
Yeah, adopting pets, especially dogs, is massive. That's what's been going on. Jack got himself a dog. People are like, did he do it because of this? No, he didn't do it because of this. He's been wanting a dog for years. I got him a little dog out here that he got to keep out here, but finally he got to get a dog out there on his own. And it's awesome. He loves it. Like best pals in the world. His name's Oreo. So it is hilarious. But yeah, there's like slim pickings. And some of the adoption stuff, Mike, it's easier to adopt a child than it is, and some of these people are overly crazy about animals. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Billie Eilish just turned 18 last year.
I'm the bad guy.
The Grammy winner will be voting for the first time this year and performing at the Democratic National Convention. And she won't be alone. Jennifer Hudson, John Legend, Common, Leon Bridges, Billy Porter, and more will all take the stage, though that stage will likely be virtual. We're told the artists will perform the national anthem, classic songs, and new music in an attempt to draw in new viewers who might not have tuned in to previous conventions.
Yeah. Or anybody. Does anybody even watch these? Well, you're going to watch it. We'll cover some of it. I mean, I don't even know what it looks like. Nobody does. Alex Stone said it best.
In some ways, this is like covering a big Zoom call. Video messages sent in from around the country. Some are pre-recorded. Democrats are trying to make sure this doesn't seem like an infomercial, like they're trying to sell you an air fryer when you tune into it and hear a bunch of pro-Democrat messages without a crowd, but nobody knows how it will be received.
Like an air fryer. Probably like that. It's probably going to be like for a lot of people. Does this excite anybody? Honestly. I mean, does Trump's excite anybody? I mean, the crowd is the big reason for this. The crowd is the energy that you pick up from the crowd is awesome. The energy you pick up changes everything. You don't get that. You don't get that inside of a room. You're just going to get a Zoom meeting with recorded speeches, and you're like, wow, my Zoom meeting's amazing. Green screened out. Look at them. Oh, wow. It's going to be... That's the most exciting part. Kasich's going to give a speech. That'll be interesting. How does Bernie... But the thing is, there's no boos, there's no cheers, there's no jeers, there's none of that. So even with all of that, where's the feedback? It's like doing stand-up comedy in a room by yourself. How would you know? You can feed off that, the energy. I go back to Freddie Mercury and the greatest, 17 or 19 minutes in rock and roll history at Live Aid, and when Queen just dominated in a way that, was just otherworldly. Go look at the 1980 Olympic team, talking about the fact that having the country, but having that crowd there. We're getting ready. The basketball playoffs are going on right now. There's no crowd. Who cares if you're the 8th place team or the 1st place team? You're playing the same place. There's nothing there, nothing to feed off of. So it's going to be weird, but this is what we've got. This is where we are at this moment in time. This is what we have. Moving forward over this next week and then into when the Republicans have their chance to do something, everybody's going to look and go, okay, we got to check this out. We got to see what this looks like. What does this look like? How well did they do? How well did they not do? Where did they fail? How can we make it so we don't look like buffoons? And where are the hacks going to come from? Because they're coming. Because they are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program as well. Oh, yeah, that COVID thing's still here.
The Wall Street Journal reports among white people who have died from COVID-19, only 3% were under the age of 55. Among African Americans, that number's 11%. For Latino Americans, 18%. And for Native Americans, 24%. Basically, 1 in 4 died before they turned 55 years old.
Why is that? A lot of reasons. Is some of it access to health care? Yeah, some of it is. Is some of it health-related, underlying conditions? Absolutely. When you look at the Native Americans, so look at the Navajo, and we've talked to Jonathan Nez, who's the president of the Navajo Nation. You've got some 30% without running water and heat. You've got generational homes. You've got all of these things that add up. It's the recipe for disaster. And then you have limited resources for health care. And I'm going to say this. People say, you give me a jerk. Obesity, diabetes, huge. Lifestyle plays a part in this. It does. Whether people want to believe that or not, no, that's the reality of this. But when you look at the Navajo Nation, when you look at the Hispanic community, you look at the black community, access is one thing for sure. But we've got to look at all of these things. How can we, I've had, like I said, I've had Jonathan Nez on my local show on several occasions. And we've had several people that were and still are working on the reservations talking about the struggle for PPEs, talking about the fact that so many of these families, there's a guy in my church who lost basically everybody. Dad, mom, grandma, grandpa, brother, all in the space of days. This is lack of anything there. And that's something that absolutely needs to be addressed. But when you have, so for every one person that's getting it, For every 4 people you get, one of them's dying is unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable. And this is under 55. We expect that even in the best of times, even if we had therapeutics, even if we had a few other things, even a vaccine, that some people that do catch it over a certain age, they're going to struggle with it, just like they do with the flu. And speaking of the flu season is upon us very shortly. You hear this is going to be the worst fall in the history of falls. Never seen anything like it in my life. Worst fall in the history of falls. Slow down.
Good news possibly is that if we look to the southern hemisphere, they have seen lower than normal influenza rates, probably because of all this social distancing, hand hygiene to guard against COVID.
Dr. Jennifer Ashton there. That's true. That's what I was saying. Like, why is this going to be the worst fall? Well, because of the flu season. But we're not going to be at schools based on what we're seeing now, because we don't have a vaccine. Many of us will not return to work inside of offices. People are social distancing. They're wearing a mask. I think this flu season, once you go and get the flu shot, will be probably extremely mild based on the fact that we're really not going to be around to share it with everybody. And I think that's a good thing.
Right now, there are some things we can do to reduce our risk of COVID-19, but we know that getting vaccinated against influenza is also under our control. And as we look ahead towards the fall and winter, we don't want two circulating respiratory viruses that can have a major impact on our hospitals and on people's lives.
Yeah, because the flu is still very real, people. It's still probably going to kill 30,000 people. And remember, that's with a vaccine. That's probably with social distancing. That's with people wearing a mask. That's with hand hygiene. An average year kills about 50,000 people, including a lot of children. And what's crazy about that is there is a vaccine and there are therapeutics, and it's still deadly. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from you. I do. 130 degrees. So you guys just soak that in for a second. If you've never been in that kind of weather, it's disgusting. I haven't been in 130, but I've been into the 120s. It is gross. It is ugly. It is nasty. Yesterday, Furnace Creek, which is Death Valley, 130 degrees. 130 degrees. And it doesn't seem to be getting any cooler in the foreseeable future. Excessive heat warnings throughout the Southwest. You've got the hurricane that rolled through out there in the east. You've got massive, massive damage done throughout Iowa and parts around there. It is it's nature. Nature will mess you up. And it is ugly. Here in Arizona, we're going to 115 today. We're going to see a respite, though, for those of you guys not keeping score. A respite on Friday. We're only going to get to 109. Sweater weather. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Wounded Paw Project, amazing company. Been working with them for a while. It's an organization that was started by a vet that was returning home that was struggling, and he adopted a dog. That's all he did. Not a special dog as far as it wasn't a service dog. He just adopted a dog, and that dog changed his life. And now he's doing that for vets, first responders, and their family. What Wounded Paw Project does is it rescues animals that would be put to sleep and then trains them to go from the shelter to become service dogs. And it is amazing. Their motto is to save a paw is to save a life, and they need your help right now. Donating is easy. Proceeds are used to protect, advocate, and transform shelter dogs into service dogs for veterans, first responders, and their families. How you can give? Well, first of all, you can turn your extra car, truck, RV, even a boat into a vehicle for change. Great tax-deductible gift. They take cash as well. Or you can go to smile.amazon.com, such a supporting group for Wounded Paw Project. You can donate that way. Find out how you can get more involved by calling 844-6784-PAW. That's 844-678-4729. Or visit woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org. You'll be saving a paw to save a life. Chad Benson Show.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Going from ideological left to right, you have Senator Bernie Sanders and you have former Governor John Kasich, a Republican who ran for president just 4 years ago. So that, I think, is one indication. You also got some red state Democrats, people like Senator Doug Jones from Alabama. And the end of the night is going to be Michelle Obama. The First Lady, as we know, is one of the most popular figures, if not the most popular political figure in the country. She's taped her speech, but that is going to be the last thing that delegates virtually and the audience at home gets to see tonight.
Ooh, that sounds riveting. Let me tell you what they're going to say. Trump's going to say Biden and Harris are going to destroy it. They want unlawful streets. They want to get rid of all police. They want chaos, free stuff for everybody, etc., etc. Biden and the crowd that be are going to say Trump's the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, and that he's handled this poorly, and if it was for Biden, he could have come in and then stepped up and then nobody would have died, and that he's going to unite the country and bring it together, and blah, 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 blah. And you can do all of that on the internet. What? Boy, that sounds great. Not. That is just so bizarre. Welcome to the world that we live in. This is where we are, kids, so be prepared. So it kicks off and goes on for the next 2 weeks between the Republicans and the Democrats. It's just going to be wah, 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 wah. Here's the thing. What do voters want?
Usually you come into a convention, you're talking about all the divisions, fights over party platform, and are there going to be boos when certain speakers get up or cheers for certain lines? All of that is gone. So instead, this really is about getting the Democratic base and any independents and maybe even Republicans motivated to vote.
But how are you going to do that? You're not going to do it from as Alex Stone put it so precisely, just spot on. Couldn't be any more. A Zoom call. You're not going to, nobody's going to be enthralled by that. There's no energy from a crowd. What are you going to say? Because what you're really trying to do is grab that 10 to 15% of people that are out there that haven't made up their mind yet, for whatever reason. They hate Trump, but they're not ready to jump on the Biden bus. Or they're Democrats, but Biden isn't the one that excites them. Or the people that are like, I voted for Trump, but I'm not sure I want to do it again. Not that I don't like some of the stuff he's done, but the chaos I could do without. You can do that on a Zoom call? You going to do that on live streams? I don't think so. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program as well. All that going on, all that happening. You've got the other side, which is COVID's still going on. Kids should be back in school. Nobody knows exactly what to do, how to do it. Is there a right answer? Is there a wrong answer? For some people, the right answer is don't do anything until there's a vaccine. For other people, it's we need to get on with life.
The CDC now reporting coronavirus cases among children are steadily rising.
It feels like they're waiting for people to get hurt, people who seem to think that COVID's just a cold.
Just weeks after reopening, a third high school in Georgia's Cherokee County School District is closing after 500 of its 1,800 students are in quarantine. Arizona is now logging the highest rate of pediatric cases and hospitalizations in the country.
It's chaos. It absolutely is. Well, why are there so many kids getting it now? It's not that they're just getting it. It's just being tested. First time, many of them have been out for months where they've been around other people. And the hospitalization rate is still extremely low. And most of the kids, and I don't think there's been much more than a handful of a couple dozen who have ended up dying from this, had other really severe issues. So what happens during flu season, which is right around the corner? Because if this is really about the kids, then you got to close the schools down. Flu season's here, because flu season is more dangerous and deadly to children than this is. If it's just about the kids. I'm just saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from all of you. Touch a little bit on the chaos that is the United States Postal Service. What's digital blackface? And Brian Stelter, who's usually, well, he's always kind of a buffoon, hit out at Joe Biden this weekend. What? I know, right? This is our shocked face, because he's never heard that there are publications that lean one way or another. My God. This is what we live with, people. Which is worse? COVID or crap like that? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I will demand that Leader McConnell bring back the Senate to vote on it as well. We cannot have McConnell ignore this problem, stay at home, say we don't have a problem as he's done in the past. So, all of our actions mean one thing. Let's save the post office. It's vital to Americans in normal times. It's more vital in times of COVID. It's even more vital in times of election. Let's save the post office.
Let's say, okay, first of all, let's look at the post office dollars wise, right? Just from a dollars and cents thing. Let's look at that. How much money are they going to lose? 2019, they lost $8.8 billion. That's double the losses from the previous year. They're expected to lose more this year. Solid. So we're saving union jobs, post office jobs. Is there politics behind it? Of course there is, on both sides of it. Can there be fraud? I think the chances of that happening in the way that they talk about, oh my God, this thing could be huge, it could be millions upon millions of votes, I think is very slim. Very slim. Like, minute, based on the things we've seen in the past. Everybody's, well, that's absentee. It's not absentee everywhere, by the way, just to let you guys know that. Mark Meadows.
We want to make sure that every vote counts, but that only one vote counts. And so when you look at that, this debate is really over a process. A number of states now trying to figure out how they're going to go to universal mail-in ballots. That's a disaster where we won't know the election results on November 3rd. And we might not know it for months. And for me, that's problematic because the Constitution says that then a Nancy Pelosi in the House would actually pick the president on January 20th. So we need to make sure that we do it right.
Settle down. Doing it right is fine. Let's not confuse nefariousness with incompetence. You're losing $10 billion a year, 8.8. They think up to $13 billion this year. That is not a recipe for success. And the difference was, like, when people say, well, look at like all these big businesses that lose money. Yeah, Amazon lost money for the first few years, and that was because, like any business, there is a beginning, and you know you're going to lose money at the beginning, but over a period of time, the ramp-up comes, and then you start making money. We're familiar with the post office now. We know. Like, if they were to go public, be like, I'm not buying it. Based on what? The amount of money they're going to lose? The fact that they haven't innovated? Do I worry that in some post offices they're going to have some issues with ballots? Yeah, of course. It's human nature. Do I think that there's going to be widespread fraud? I don't.
move. You'll change your driver's license,
but
you don't call up and say, hey,
no
by the
evidence
way,
of
I'm
widespread
re-registered.
voter fraud, though. But there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
There's no evidence that there's not either. That's the definition of fraud, Jake.
Well, actually, there is, based on all the data we've seen. And I know data's crazy. Facts over feelings here. So it's just another battle. There's more to it than meets the eye. The amount of money that the post office wants also is massive. Trump doesn't want that because he thinks that for whatever reason, he's convinced everybody that, it's okay to vote by mail in Arizona. All the Republican states, you totally can vote by mail. It's totally fine. Texas, absolutely, everybody's fine. Other places, don't know. You don't know. Now, can and should you be able to go vote at a polling place because it is COVID-19? Should you be able to do that? Is it safe? Well, if you can go to Costco and other places, I think it's safe.
Can people safely go out and vote in person?
If carefully done according to the guidelines, there's no reason that I can see why that not be the case. When you look at going to a grocery store, they have X's every 6 or more feet. And it says, don't leave this spot until the person in front of you left their spot. You can do that if you go and wear a mask, if you observe the physical distancing and don't have a crowded situation. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. I think there's ways of going about doing it. Is it too late to put in something? I think probably. We'd have some serious issues here in some of the way that they're trying to do stuff. Like we talked about Colorado last week. Colorado, when they've done a study, that's exactly what you want. They've got FBI signature people who study that, and there's so many things that they have in place. That's probably too late across the board to get it in everywhere. We assume that everybody is out to cheat everybody, and that's just not the case. Are there people out there that will want to do everything they can to win? Yes. There's no doubt in my mind that on both sides you have people that are willing to play well beneath the fairness of doing the right thing. They will go to the gutter to get a victory. It's not just one side either. It's both sides. But at the end of the day, I think we may be a little too late in some of this stuff. And if it ends up being a huge... Because think about it. It's not just about doing it. It's about doing it right and putting ourselves in a position not to have weeks and months of anticipation of whether or not he won or what's going to happen. Because I will tell you right now, they're lawyering up left, right, and center already. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Brian Stelter, who we give a lot of crap because he's A, not very independent, like he'd like to pretend like he is. B, it's not entertaining, right? Let's be honest. But he did say something which you don't hear often. Somebody who's on the left, because we know you are, come out and say something about somebody who's running for president on the left.
We're not really seeing the big extended interviews for Vice President Biden, not many for Senator Harris. That's a bit concerning they're not doing the Q&As.
I think this is increasingly becoming an issue among the press corps and among political insiders. And it's an issue that Trump campaign officials are also using against Biden, saying that he's not willing to sit down for extended interviews. He has certainly been in a quieter period lately. I think now that we're entering the fourth inning of this very long game, this presidential campaign, I certainly hope that Biden is more accessible to the press.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, you'd want to say that he's going to be more accessible. But are you really going to get out there? I mean, right now, if you look at the numbers, Biden's up pretty decent. There's an article out today, I think it's in Yahoo Finance, that Obama was worried that Joe has a way of blanking things up. And that's his big thing. I think both of these guys, well, I'll say it and I'll continue to say it, they will snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. They will have a clear path to victory, and somewhere along the line, they'll screw it up. I was watching golf yesterday because that's what I like to do. I watch golf, relax. It's 120 degrees. I'm not going outside. I did that once this weekend, played golf, and I was like, And there was a guy who was in the lead, was playing well, and then does just the unthinkable things. Like, nobody else has done this, so I'm going to try it. Even though the first 3 days I played in this tournament, I didn't need to do this. But now, I'm going to try it. And 4 or 5 of those moments, all of a sudden, you don't win. And both of them will have those moments along the way. But you got to get out and speak. You're not going to have rallies. You're not going to do the things that you normally do. You better make it known to everybody. You're here for the fight, and this isn't going to be run out the clock and hope that Trump fumbles the ball and you win the game.
Here's Trump, calling into Fox News, giving an interview to Sinclair this week, holding briefings. Biden, on the other hand, is having very formal events, giving speeches. They're perfectly executed from a campaign point of view, but the press is asked to leave the room. We barely get to ask any questions of Biden these days. I understand it is savvy campaign strategy to keep him away from questioners. But John Harris, don't they have to have a press conference? Aren't they going to just get pounded by both the Trump campaign and by reporters if they don't make the presidential candidate more accessible?
Yes. I'll answer that, yes. And I don't expect the media to come hard at him. That's the funny thing. I don't expect the media to tear him apart. I don't expect the media to fight with him. I don't expect any of those things. I expect nothing but friendly conversation with a few people on the right that may be invited to these things, Fox, and maybe that's about it, who will ask him some semi-serious questions, who will push back a little bit. So he better start to think that, hey, you know what? I better get out there. I better do some stuff. I don't know if he will, but I think he needs to start making himself more available. And if you're really interested in getting Republicans, if you're really interested in getting people who are disenchanted with Trump and the chaos, you better start going to fish where those people are. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program as well. MyPillow. It's got a BOGO going on. Buy one, get one free. What's that? Let me tell you about buy one, get one free. So you buy one, you get one free. It's that simple. It's BOGO. So MyPillow towels, the Giza sheets, the Stow and Go pillows, the you name it, the mattress toppers, the everything that they produce. You buy one, you get one free. 60-day money back guarantee, 10-year warranty, made in the USA. The other great thing is when you go to checkout, so you go to mypillow.com, go to the new radio listener special, type in Benson, Benson. When you're on your way out, you order Mike Lindell's book, talk about a guy that went from nothing, put himself in awful situations with drugs and everything, rebuilt his life, built up MyPillow. When you order that book, he's going to ship everything for free and give you a $25 gift card. It's simple and easy. You buy one, get one free. Order the book, $25 gift card towards your next purchase. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
Absentee ballots are great. They work. They've been proven. They're good, like in Florida. But this universal mail-in is a very dangerous thing. It's fraught with fraud and every other thing that can happen. And we have to be very, very careful.
We have to be careful. Why do we have to be careful? Is it fraud? Is it nefariousness? It's possible. Anything's possible. So cheating at the ballot boxes? It's possible. How much does that really go on? Very minimal. So small, you can't even see it with the naked eye. We don't want that to happen. I think there's ways of going about doing it, but doing it in such a way, in the time frame that needs to be done if you're not already set up for it. I mean, let's be real. We got all kinds of issues, especially with cities and states and federal agencies. Case in point, you go to the DMV, you get your picture taken.
Tennessee woman is at least laughing at her brand new driver's license picture. She's not in the picture. She looks at the driver's license. It is an empty chair.
The lady at the DMV did not really believe me when I was like, hey, I need my license fixed because it just has a chair on it. And then she looked it up in the system and she was like, oh, I need to go get my manager for this.
Why do you need to go get a manager? Like, I need to farm this out to somebody bigger. This is above my pay grade, man. This is definitely a code niner.
My boss thinks it's funnier than anyone. I was at work Friday, and he pointed to a chair outside of his office door, and he was like, I thought this was you. I waved at it this morning. I was like, thanks.
So the spokesperson says that when Jade, that's her name, first got a license a few years ago, somehow then an employee accidentally took a picture of an empty chair during the transaction, and that's the one that got saved to her profile and got used when she did the mail-in.
Don't you just kind of want to get pulled over just to hand them the license? I was in England, and I got pulled over. And I hadn't got my British license, my English license. So I handed him my California license. Because, the car was registered in my name and everything. And it's like, I don't know what, all right? So they stood back there for like 10 minutes. And it was something that had to do with the registration and it was no big deal. But he's like, I didn't even know what to do with this. So just take care of this. And off I went. Just the look on his face was priceless. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program tonight. The DNC's kicking it off tonight. It's a huge, exciting night of fun and frivolity. This is going to be all.
Tonight, they will kick things off with a focus on the three crises that are facing this country: the pandemic, the economic downturn, and the national reckoning over racial justice. It will all be an effort by Democrats to argue that the president is failing in these three areas, and a chance for them to showcase how Joe Biden would be leading differently in this moment. It will culminate with a speech tonight from the former First Lady Michelle Obama. And we are told that Joe Biden will make a brief appearance in a video tonight, all leading up to his big acceptance speech on Thursday.
Then where's that going to be? His basement. It's going to be outdoors. Is it going to be I'm curious, if you're him, is it one of those like overly produced acceptance speeches? Do you do kind of just a live version of it? That's a very interesting thing. What do you do there? Ooh, that's a good question. Because some of them are pre-taped, some of them are going to be other things, but it's just, do you do it? I'd do it live. We're doing it live. Oh, my goodness. I look and I think to myself, it's all on tape. It's not, there's no energy. There's no crowd. There's no lunacy. Because let me tell you, when you go to these things, so we're at the Republican one. The thing that I remembered most, first of all, we're in a garage. Like a 4-story parking garage. And the TV's above us, and you had Radio Row, and so they were like the 4th floor. It was like 5 stories. The roof was the 5th. So like television was above us and to the side. Radio Row was in one area, right? So we had to split certain things. You were all over the place. It was lunacy. And then outside, you had all the other people doing stuff. And Eric Andre's out there doing stuff. You had Alex Jones doing stuff. My favorite, though, was Producer Anthony comes back. And Samantha Bee, this is when her show first started. She was doing something. Anthony was walking by. Now, mind you, there's 50,000 people just wandering. But Anthony's walking by in an area, and they get mad. She's like upset. It's like, shut up. You're a comic. Do your job. You're not funny. Oh, it was crazy. That's where I hung out with Wolf Blitzer. Just want to say, very nice guy, very tiny, small gentleman. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program, check out Chad Benson Show TV on the old YouTube. Have a blessed and wonderful day. We will do it again tomorrow. Night, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.